Now the third important issue at hand is who are minorities. Why this question at the first? Minorities are not defined under the constitution. This is very important. There can be four important questions from this section itself. I'll tell you. Minorities are not defined under the constitution. However, although minorities are not defined, but constitution provides recognition to two kinds of minorities, that are linguistic and religious. Understood? यहाँ पे एक difference है. You try to understand कि although they have not been defined, but what is important? They have been recognized. Definition और recognition में difference है. Definition अगर ये होता कि किसी community की strength अगर 50% से population में कम है तो वो minority होगी. This is a definition. Understood? But recognition कि मतलब किस basis पे minority अगर रखे जाएंगे, मतलब क्या ethnic minorities रखी जा सकती हैं, क्या racial minorities exist करती हैं इंडिया में? नहीं. Okay, मतलब if one is African, ठीक है, for example अगर African race की population इंडिया में आने लगे, ठीक है, and they start claiming कि हमें racial minority declare किया जाए कि हम African Indians हैं, तो इसलिए हमें racial minority declare किया जाए, तो that claim will not stand in India under the constitution. Okay, India although does not define minorities, ठीक है, but it does recognize. मतलब racial minorities are not recognized. Racial minorities are not recognized in India. ठीक है, कौन कौन सी minority recognize की गई हैं? The first one is linguistic. Okay, the second one is religious. This is very important. तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है, पहले क्या आएगा? अगेन दिस बिकम्स, पहले अंडा आएगा या पहले मुर्गी आएगी? बट इट इज सिंपल. पहले रिकॉग्निशन इंपॉर्टेंट है, फिर डिफाइन करना जरूरी है. अगर लिंग्विस्टिक और रिलीजियस माइनॉरिटीज को रिकॉग्नाइज कर लिया तो हम डिफाइन कर सकते हैं कि अगर किसी जगह पे लिंग्विस्टिक बेसिस पे अगर फॉर एग्जांपल भोजपुरी स्पीकिंग पॉपुलेशन 50% से कम है, ओके, तो दे विल बी डिक्लेयर्ड what? Linguistic minorities. Understood? The important thing is, the first is recognition, the second is definition. The converse is not true. Okay. The second important thing is, many minorities at national level are majority at state levels. अगर ऐसा है तो फिर minority और majority का definition कैसे किया जाना चाहिए? What are the socio-economic या sociological perspectives on which the definition of minority should be done? And states can declare minorities. क्या खाली central government minority declare कर सकती है या state governments भी minority declare कर सकती हैं? These are the points we are going to focus in this lecture. Why news? Because recently there have been multiple petitions filed in the Supreme Court as well as High Courts. ठीक है? And these petitions refer to declaration of Hindus as minorities in 8 states. ठीक है, 8 states कौन कौन सी हैं? First is UT of J&K, ठीक है, पंजाब, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, ओके, मणिपुर, मेघालय, गोवा, ओके, और भी हैं. मतलब these states have Hindu, 8 states, 8 Indian states have Hindus in numerical minority. ठीक है, numerically Hindus are not majority in 8 of the states of India. But now what does constitution prescribe? ठीक है, and why are all these petitions challenging the section 2C of the NCM Act 1992 and not the constitution itself? Okay, so what is the section 2C of National Committee on Minorities Act 1992? Okay, the section 2C states that minority for the purposes of this act means a community notified as such by the central government. That is, whenever a central government notifies any community to be a minority community, it becomes a minority community. ठीक है, तो 1992 में ये एक्ट आया. Okay, so this act actually notified 5 communities as what? Minority communities. The first one is Muslims, the second one is Sikhs, the third one is Buddhists, the fourth one is Zoroastrians, and the fifth one is what we call them, Parsis. Okay, but हुआ क्या? ठीक है, Christians, Zoroastrians, Muslims, Buddhists, and Sikhs, they were declared what? Minorities in 1993. ठीक है, but in 2014 even Jains were included in what? Minority status. ठीक है, but the important thing is कि minority status कहाँ से determine हो रहा है? नेशनल लेवल पे डिटरमाइन हो रहा है या स्टेट लेवल पे डिटरमाइन हो रहा है? और अगर नेशनल लेवल पे डिटरमाइन हो रहा है तो स्टेट्स में जो माइनॉरिटीज हैं, are there rights to under article 29 and under article 30 not being violated? That is the question that Supreme Court is going to address. Okay, so what is the constitutional provision regarding this? Article 29 states that any section of the citizens, very important, these two articles are the most important articles from the exam point of view. Why? India is now going through a phase of metamorphosis. The recent happenings in the last 4 to 5 years have changed the fabric of India completely. ठीक है? Now what has happened is there has been a constant assertion of rights by all the groups. ठीक है? तो the kind of change that we are seeing today, है ना, तो that has a reflection in our constitution, and constitution, believe me, has a solution to our problems if we really believe in it. But article 29 states that protection of interest of minorities. Okay, interest of minorities, this is as the article 29 is mentioned in the constitution. Whenever I bring articles into our classes, I don't change them because they have very intrinsic value to themselves as they are reproduced. ठीक है, article 29 section 1, any section of the citizens. यहाँ पे क्या है? Any sections of the citizens residing in the territory of, that is, the first important point, this right is available only to citizens. Okay, this is not available to aliens. Fine. Residing in the territory of India or any part thereof, having a distinct language, script or culture of its own, shall have the right to conserve the same. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल है आर्टिकल 29. आर्टिकल 29 का पहला हमने ऑब्जर्व किया कि इट इज ओनली अवेलेबल टू सिटीजंस. दूसरा ऑब्जर्वेशन है कि इट इज अवेलेबल टू एनी सेक्शन ऑफ सिटीजंस, नॉट एसेंशियली माइनॉरिटीज. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, very important. I would like you to like write it down in your copies, okay, because this is very important whenever we are dealing. And if you are watching this lecture after it has been recorded, please watch this lecture at the speed of like 1.5 या 1.25. ठीक है, I might be slow. So what important thing we are going to discuss is article 29. Whenever you are going, when you are dealing through the articles of the constitution or polity, you have to be very cautious about the language of the article, and that is where the questions are being formed. तो आर्टिकल 29 को हम डीकंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे. आर्टिकल 29 को डीकंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे. द फर्स्ट वन इज इट इज अवेलेबल ओनली टू सिटीजंस ऑफ इंडिया. सिटीजंस ऑफ इंडिया, ठीक है, ओके. द सेकंड वन इज it is available to any section of citizens. Section of citizens, that is not necessarily to the minorities. Very important. Any sections of citizens. ठीक है, that means a majority can believe, a majority of people, not essentially the minority, the majority can also believe that they need the protection of their script, language or culture, and they have the right, the fundamental right to protection of the same under article 29 of the constitution. ठीक है. The third important point is This is available for script. Second one is language, and the third one is culture. This is the deconstruction of Article 29, or note it down. Okay. The second important thing is no citizen shall be denied admission. ठीक है, denied admission into any educational institution maintained. यहाँ पे again very important is any educational institution maintained out of the state or receiving aid out of the state funds. Any educational institution that is being maintained by the state, for example केंद्रीय विद्यालय, ठीक है, या स्टेट के जो स्कूल्स होते हैं, या IITs फॉर एग्जांपल, या IIM या एम्स, or receiving aid out of the state funds, or such institutions which are not being completely managed by the state but are receiving a kind of aid from the state. No religion, no citizen can be debarred or denied admission in such institution only on the grounds of, only of, जहां भी आप आर्टिकल्स में only पढ़ते हैं, focus a lot on that. आप देखते ही वहां पे एक कॉपी पे अपना नोट लिख लीजिए कि only religion, race, caste, language or any of them. That is, यहाँ पे आप ऑब्जर्व करेंगे कि आर्टिकल 29 does not end the discrimination based on gender actually, religion, race, caste or language. ठीक है. Some people might think कि अभी मैं कुछ देर पहले ये कह रहा था कि racial minorities are not recognized. Correct, that is completely true. But यहाँ पे race लिखा हुआ है, इस आर्टिकल में race का मेंशन है, तो no section of citizen, that is not a racial, that this is not the recognition of race as a minority. It is against the discrimination against the discrimination for admission, ठीक है, on basis of religion, race, caste or language. Understood? और कुछ नहीं है. This is not a recognition of race as a minority या caste as a minority. Understood? Now Article 30. Article 30 is right of minorities to establish and administer. This is also very important. Educational institutions. ठीक है? All minorities. Now, again we are going to deconstruct Article 30. All minorities, whether based on religion or language. तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारे बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं कि यहाँ पे लिखा है ऑल माइनॉरिटीज, तो बहुत सारे लोग, अगर क्वेश्चन में आया है कि आर्टिकल 30 स्टेट्स दैट अगर ऑल माइनॉरिटीज शैल हैव, इफ आई समहाउ इरेज दिस वन, ठीक है, इफ आई समहाउ इरेज दिस वन, लाइक अगर क्वेश्चन में ऐसे आ गया, ठीक है, all minorities shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Is this correct? क्योंकि यहाँ तो all minorities लिखा हुआ है. But the point is, all minorities, whether based on religion or language, that is an important point. It means the Constitution recognizes only two kind of minorities. They should be either on the basis of religion or should be on the basis of language. मतलब और किसी प्रकार का माइनॉरिटीज का क्या नहीं है, रिकॉग्निशन नहीं है. ओके, मतलब देयर कैन बी ओनली टू काइंड ऑफ माइनॉरिटीज इन इंडिया ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. द फर्स्ट वन इज रिलीजन एंड द सेकंड वन इज लैंग्वेज, एंड बोथ linguistic and religious minorities have the right to establish and administer the educational institutions of their choice. For example, madrasas, ठीक है, madrasas are being run by Muslim communities, ठीक है, and they have the fundamental right to run it. Okay, but another important thing is they cannot claim a fundamental right to aid from the government to protect it. The government provides you the fundamental right to run a minority educational institution, but that does not entitle the minorities a claim over state funds to run their institutions. Understood? मतलब any community can run, मतलब basically linguistic or religious community who are minorities can administer or establish their own educational institutions, but they cannot claim funds from the state for the same. Understood? as a right, as an entitlement. The second one is the state shall not, in granting aid to, again now what we are talking, कि although okay, I hope you have noted this, because now we are going to deconstruct article 30. ठीक है, article 30 को deconstruct करना, article 29 and article 30 are very important from the exam point of view. Okay, तो article 30 में सबसे पहला point है, there is a recognition of two kind of minorities. The first one is linguistic, है ना? The second one is religious. ठीक है, there is recognition of two kind of minorities. No other kind of racial, ethnic minorities are not recognized. Caste based minorities are not recognized. तो पहला तो ये हो गया. दूसरा क्या है कि linguistic and religious minorities can establish, okay, and administer what? Establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Educational institutions of their choice. For example, madrasas. ठीक है. The third important point about Article 30 is what? Although these minorities, linguistic and religious, have the right to establish any kind of educational institution, but that right does not entitle them with the right to claim funds. मतलब आपको अधिकार है कि आप किसी भी प्रकार का एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन चला सकते हैं अगर आप रिलीजियस या लिंग्विस्टिक माइनॉरिटी हैं, बट आपके पास ये अधिकार नहीं है कि आप स्टेट से फंड मांगे उस इंस्टीट्यूशन को चलाने के लिए. अंडरस्टूड? मतलब यू कैन नॉट क्लेम कि स्टेट हमें फंड प्रोवाइड करे टू रन आवर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस माइनॉरिटीज को. अंडरस्टूड? लेकिन if the second section of the Article 30 says that if the state is providing funds, तो पहली बात तो यह है कि मदरसाज या एनी काइंड ऑफ रिलीजियस इंस्टीट्यूशंस को कोई राइट नहीं है कि वो स्टेट से फंड ले सके. बट अगर स्टेट फंड प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, ओके, तो स्टेट कैन नॉट मेक अ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. ओके, the state cannot make a discrimination on the basis of religion या language. That is article 30 section 2. The state shall not in granting aid to educational institutions discriminate against any educational institution on the ground that is under the management of a minority based on religion or language. मतलब for example, okay, sorry, if the state is providing funds, ठीक है, state is providing funds, ठीक है, तो it will have to provide all the institutions of all religious and linguistic minorities. It cannot make a discrimination कि for example मदरसास को हम फंड्स नहीं देंगे, ऐसा नहीं कर सकती गवर्नमेंट. अगर गवर्नमेंट स्टेट रन गुरुकुल्स चला रही है. अंडरस्टूड? गुरुकुल्स क्या होते हैं? हिंदूज के जो मतलब अगर लिंग्विस्टिक या और किसी लिंग्विस्टिक और या रिलीजियस माइनॉरिटी, हिंदूज आर नॉट माइनॉरिटीज, ठीक है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. तो फॉर एग्जांपल इफ द स्टेट इज गिविंग फंड्स टू रन एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस टू सिख्स, ठीक है, तो इट विल हैव टू प्रोवाइड द सेम काइंड ऑफ फंडिंग टू मुस्लिम्स आल्सो बिकॉज बोथ कम्युनिटीज आर माइनॉरिटीज. अंडरस्टूड? तो स्टेट कैन नॉट डिस्क्रिमिनेट ऑन द ग्राउंड ऑफ religion or language while allotting the funds to educational institutions. Okay, so what is the issue at hand and why this issue we are studying? Because there are various pleas that have been filed in the high courts and supreme court, different benches of the supreme court, to declare section 2C of the NCM act as invalid and allow the registration of Hindus as minorities in the 8 states of कंट्री. ठीक है, अब सेक्शन 2C क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया? क्योंकि सेक्शन 2C ऑफ द एनसीएम एक्ट प्रोवाइड्स दैट दोज कम्युनिटी विल बी कंसीडर्ड माइनॉरिटी फॉर विच द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड्स द रिकॉग्निशन. ठीक है, हमने बहुत स्टार्टिंग में ही स्लाइड के पढ़ा था कि सेक्शन 2C ऑफ द एनसीएम एक्ट प्रोवाइड्स दैट दोज कम्युनिटीज विच आर नोटिफाइड एज अ माइनॉरिटी बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट विल बी कॉल्ड माइनॉरिटीज. बट व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? द प्रॉब्लम इज कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का जो रिकॉग्निशन है वो सेंट्रल लेवल पे है, वो कंट्री को एक यूनिट मान के और रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया है माइनॉरिटीज को। बट इशू है कि स्टेट ऑफ J&K में, फॉर एग्जांपल नाउ यूटी ऑफ J&K में 68% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इज मुस्लिम। सिमिलरली द मेजॉरिटी पॉपुलेशन इन पंजाब इज सिख्स, ठीक है। इन मेघालय एंड मणिपुर एंड अरुणाचल द मेजॉरिटी पॉपुलेशन इज ऑफ क्रिश्चियंस, ओके। तो व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि इन दीज स्टेट्स द माइनॉरिटीज आर हिंदूज, अकॉर्डिंग टू द प्ली द माइनॉरिटीज आर हिंदूज, ठीक है। तो व्हाट द प्ली स्टेट्स दैट कि why is the fundamental right under article 29 and 30 not being violated, and moreover when a community is declared minority there are not only article 29 and 30, there are other rights as well, like entitlements to by the states, state governments or union government also runs a lot of schemes and welfare schemes and like scholarships for them, ठीक है। तो what this plea states that कि most of the scholarships which are announced by the central government for minorities go to majorities in this state. For example, there are 783 scholarships being provided in the UT of J&K to minorities. अब स्टेट ऑफ J&K में माइनॉरिटी कौन है? हिंदूज हैं, इवन सिख्स हैं, ठीक है। बट हिंदूज आर नॉट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली या स्टैट्यूटरीली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज माइनॉरिटी। So out of 783 scholarships that are being awarded to minorities, 718 are provided to Muslims, despite their population being 68% of the population of the state, and others to Sikhs, but none to Hindus. Okay, so this is the issue. There are 20,000 different kind of scholarship that are being scholarships and interventions for minorities, none of which is available to minority Hindus in these 8 states. तो यहाँ पे इशू क्या है? दो चीजें हैं। सेक्शन 2C कहता है कि खाली सेंटर रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकता है कम्युनिटी को एज ए माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी, ठीक है। और दूसरा इशू क्या है कि माइनॉरिटीज का रिकॉग्निशन अगर सेंटर कर रहा है तो वो तो नेशनल लेवल पे हो रहा है, बट जिन स्टेट्स में माइनॉरिटीज जो कि पूरे इंडिया लेवल पे मेजॉरिटी है, तो उन स्टेट्स में जहां पे वो माइनॉरिटी हैं, क्या उनके फंडामेंटल राइट्स और जो अदर एंटाइटलमेंट्स हैं माइनॉरिटीज के, आर दे नॉट बीइंग हैम्पर्ड? तो दैट इज व्हाई द पिटीशन वाज फाइल्ड, ठीक है। नाउ देयर आर अ फ्यू सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट्स। डीएवी कॉलेज वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, डीएवी मतलब दयानंद एंग्लो वैदिक कॉलेज, ठीक है, दयानंद एंग्लो वैदिक कॉलेज। इट वाज फॉर्म्ड बाय आर्य समाजीज आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ दयानंद सरस्वती, ठीक है। तो डीएवी कॉलेज वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब में आर्य समाज इज अ माइनॉरिटी इन द स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब। दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन, ठीक है। Why? Because Arya Samaj has been first of all declared a religious denomination different from Hinduism. Okay. The second thing is Hindus can be declared as minorities in the states even if they are majority in the country. Supreme Court said that the Hindus can be declared as minority in the states in which they are in minority, even if they are majority in the states. Country. The second is TMA Pi Foundation versus State of Karnataka. Please go and read it on Google, search it and read the you can read the basics of what this judgment is, because this is a very watershed moment in Indian constitutional history, ठीक है। तो ये प्लीज पढ़ लीजिएगा आप, इसके बाकी एस्पेक्ट्स क्या थे, and make notes of it. तो what we are concerned here is what constitutes a religious or linguistic minority should be judged on the basis of the state, ठीक है। इस एक्चुअली टीएमए पाई फाउंडेशन वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ कर्नाटका में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑब्जर्व दैट द रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ स्टेट्स, ठीक है, फजल अली कमीशन के बाद 1956 में जो रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ स्टेट्स हुआ, स्टेट्स रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक्ट 1956 के तहत, दैट वाज बेस्ड ऑन द लिंग्विस्टिक लाइंस, ओके। तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड दैट इफ द reorganization of states was done on the linguistic lines, why should not there be linguistic minorities in those states? Understood? तो on that basis it said that जो religious और linguistic minorities हैं उनका assessment national level की बजाय state level पे होना चाहिए, okay? The third is Bal Patil versus Union of India. Bal Patil, he was a lawyer, he was a Jain lawyer, okay? He provided the Jain community in India with the minority status. And this was actually a very interesting case. What happened was, Jains were declared as minority in 2014, but Bal Patil versus Union of India का जजमेंट पहले ही आ चुका था, ओके 2014 से पहले 2010 के अराउंड, ठीक है, बट गवर्नमेंट ने उस जजमेंट को इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं किया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड दैट the Jains are a religious minority in the country, but government did not implement it. So Bal Patil again went to Supreme Court for issuing of mandamus. Mandamus is a what? Writ, okay? Mandamus means to ask the government to implement the recommendation of Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court denied, है ना? लेकिन just before the election of 2013-14, the government gave the status of the Jains as the status of minority. Now there are 6 minorities. The first one is Muslims, second is Sikhs, third Christians, 4 Zoroastrians, 5th Buddhists, and 6th is Jains. ठीक है? And all these minorities are classified on the basis of the population of the India as whole and not in the states. Okay.